Hello, Mr. Abe Limon, sir. How are you doing? Can you hear me okay, Abe?
Yeah, seems good.
Good stuff. All right. You ready to go?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, once upon a time, Verner had a podcast and he couldn't find any guests. So he reached out to the most interesting people on the internet. And he found Mr. Abe Limon, professional poker player, investor, mentor, general gambling legend, big internet personality, unafraid to educate fools, casino expert, legendary host of Poker Sesh. Have I left anything out? What do you do these days, Sib? Do you golf?
Yeah, I'm basically retired.
Yeah.
Um I golf 2 or 3 days a week. I go to the casino 3 or 4 days a week for just a few hours. And I work in my garden and cook, whatever.
Did you have a bet on the Masters? Or were you interested in it?
Yeah, at the casino, sometimes we'll do like a draft pool or whatever. So I was in a 5K draft pool for the Masters, but my guy didn't win.
Yeah. What do you think about Rory? Do you like him or not?
Uh, yeah, I mean Rory's pretty great. I mean, I was happy to see him win.
Yeah.
Um, if it wasn't going to be my pick, I mean, I didn't get to pick who I wanted. If I got to pick who I wanted, I probably would have took Rory. But you draft in order of a random order, and by the time it got to me, the best player available was Xander Schauffele. Although I did have Justin Rose too, so it was very close for me.
It was
But Justin
close.
Rose was way down, like maybe he was my third pick or something.
Yeah, but I mean, Rose going into that playoff, I thought he was going to beat McIlroy for sure because McIlroy just can't get it over the line, and then he finally did. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I even when it went to the playoff, I had like almost no hope.
you
I
think
was
really?
sitting there going like, okay, it's a coin flip. I was going
Really?
like, oh fucking, you just got to extend my misery that I lost $5,000.
No, you see, because I'm from Northern Ireland, he's from Northern Ireland. I've been like backing him every single time for like 11 years, and I'm thinking, there's no way he's gonna do it. So I was
Right.
just like completely thought Rose was gonna do it. So my misery was the other way around. It's definitely for certain. But yeah,
No,
yeah,
Yeah, Rory, he's won the career Grand Slam. I mean, it's an extremely hard thing to do. He's obviously sort of the best golfer of his generation. I mean, Scotty Scheffler's pretty good too, but Scheffler has a long way to go, and yeah, it's good. I think golf. I like. I mean, I like watching golf. I'm one of those weird people, and I
yeah,
feel like the big tournaments are all pretty exciting.
yeah. I mean, Spieth still has a chance of doing the Grand Slam as well, apparently.
Yeah. Spieth, if he won, I think the PGA Championship, and Mickelson if he won the U.S. Open.
Yeah, Mickelson. Yeah, yeah,
And
that's
Mickelson
interesting.
is come in second in the U.S. Open like 4 times or something. He just always fucks it up.
That's crazy. Yeah. So so like what was the bet what was the last big bet you had? Was it the election probably or was there anything after that?
Yeah, the last situation where I won or lost a lot of money would have been the election.
Yeah. But
Uh,
a lot of people got that wrong. Like there were people who did it like nine out of like there were gamblers like professional gamblers that gambled only on the elections so nine out of ten times they got it right. And
right.
well, like, what would you put that down to? Like if you detach like emotion from it, would you just say like Joe Rogan's podcast, or just the uneducated voting for the uneducated, or just like the fact that America wasn't ready for a woman, or like what would be the major factor you would have put it down to that swung it? Like,
Well, I made a lot of bets early on. Um, these were like private escrowed bets.
yeah,
Uh, some with just like big Trump supporting bookies, other with just random people online that I had escrow that we would escrow through, like if they were into crypto, like a famous crypto person that we both knew, or if they were into poker, a well-known poker person we both knew, we would just escrow the money. Um, and I had made a bunch of bets early on that basically the way I had worded them was Trump must be the next president. Okay. And I felt like I had a whole bunch of chances to win that bet besides him losing the election. These were made long before Biden had dropped out of the race. I was making these early on because there was a non-zero chance that Trump would be in prison. There was a non-zero chance that he would die. And of course, there was a very, very good chance that he would just lose the election.
Right.
And this was during the primaries. And there was a non-zero chance that he wouldn't have been the nominee. So I had a lot of things going for me at that time that made me, I felt, a favorite in the bet.
Yeah.
Now, when I made those bets, I was a favorite. I felt like the people that I was betting against were not thinking about how it was worded correctly. They weren't thinking about how many things could go wrong, yada, yada, yada. Now, once Biden dropped out and Kamala became the nominee, I knew I was a dog.
Really?
I knew. I was like, I wanted to buy
But
out.
even at that point, um, I think Kamala was still the favorite from a bookie's point of view for a long time as well. No?
The books always had it. It went back and forth.
Yeah.
But getting nearer and nearer the election, the bookmakers and the the betting markets, things like Polymarket and stuff,
Yeah.
all had Trump as a solid favorite.
Oh,
Now the
okay.
betting markets are a little bit of a joke because they're they aren't very big and they aren't very liquid and Americans can't bet on them. So, but they still are big enough and liquid enough to pay attention to.
Right.
Um, Now, if there was an open online betting market that anyone could use, which is basically what Robinhood is trying to become right now, uh, those numbers would become very, very good, like better than any pool. Because the amount of money that you would have to sort of like put on one side to tilt the scale just for advertising sake, knowing full well that you were a dog putting that much money down, just would become not worth it. Like if once you had $1 billion in play or something, it just wouldn't be worth it for Elon Musk to say like, oh, I'm just going to go put 100 million on the wrong side of this to make the line move in someone else's favor. Um, but those markets are so small in Europe, a rich guy can put money on one side or the other and make the line move very quickly.
Right. Yeah. So,
Uh,
yeah.
so no, I knew I was a dog the second that she became the nominee. Um, I tried to buy out. Nobody wanted to buy out, of course, because everybody knew. Like in America, I think everybody basically knew that your average sort of like dumb white guy would not
Right.
vote for Kamala Harris in a trillion years. Just
Right.
0% chance. Even if it was 100% in their best interest to vote for Kamala Harris, they would not do it.
Which it
I
probably
mean, they
is.
wouldn't vote for Hillary. So you when Biden was the candidate, right? You could go I hang out with a lot of like rich white guys, conservative white guys at the country club,
Yeah.
at the casino. You would hear people sort of debate whether Biden was better or Trump was better. They
Right.
would People who like Trump would be disparaging towards Biden, but they wouldn't say like the things that they would say about Kamala. When
Right.
Kamala became the nominee, the Trump guys at the country club and at the poker game would just be like, "Oh, she's a fucking cunt. She's
Right.
a retard. She's dumber than shit. She's a fucking bitch." Like the vitriol, the
Right.
level of vitriol, uh, was intense
Yeah.
against her. It wasn't like it was against Biden. Nobody was going to go to the ballot box and be like, I could take either one.
Right.
Every fucking dumb white guy, every conservative white guy was just 100% Trump. Like not
Right.
even 99%, 100%. Whereas when Biden was the nominee, they might have been 65-35. And that's why Biden whipped his ass in 2020 because there's just enough dumb white guys who were like, he's old and white. He don't hurt me. I sort of like some of the things he says. Whereas nobody's going to say like, oh yeah, the black lady, I'm going to vote for her because I like something she says. It's just never going to happen. It is just too much like in sort of the dumb white community in America. The racism is off the charts and the sexism. So you put those two things together, it's just not happening.
Right. So like how worried about it are you though? Like does it affect your daily life? Do you see problems in terms of like all these like flat Earth Trump fans and and do you think like he's like the next Mussolini or whatever, or do you think it's not that bad or you know?
Well, the thing you got to remember is he is horrible, and
Yeah.
he has affected my day to day life in so much as my my stock portfolio is way down,
Oh yeah, mine too. Yeah.
and he is basically ruined America's reputation around the world with the
Mm,
business community.
right.
And so you see things happen that have never happened like ever before, where US bonds, US dollar, and US equities all go down at the same time. It never happens. That's
Mm,
stuff that happens in like third world countries where the bonds, the equities, and the currency all tank at the same time. It's because there's an immense lack of trust in the United States right now around the world. And it doesn't take that much to move the needle a lot. I mean, if you live in Britain, or if you live in China, or you live in Japan, or you live wherever, and you just decide to pair your American equity allotment and your American bond allotment by 3 or 4%, it just crushes the American basically financial markets. There's
right.
just tiny moves because this
Yeah.
has never happened in the history of the globe, basically, where at the
Right.
same time the entire world has said like, oh, we just want a few less American bonds. Oh, we just want a few less American equities. Nobody's dumping American bonds and equities, but just buying less, especially the Chinese. If the Chinese stop buying US bonds, it basically is going to crash our bond market because they buy so many bonds, because they take all the money that we send them to buy junky Chinese shit. We buy all this junky Chinese shit, the American public. The Chinese end up with tons and tons of American dollars. They have nowhere to put these American dollars that's safer than American bonds. So what they do is basically just loan our money back to us at extremely low interest rates. I mean, like during, say, like the entirety of between the Great Recession and COVID, when the Fed had bond prices, the Fed funds rate was, went all the way down to zero. Now you have Chinese buying bonds from us at 0% interest, basically. They're just funding our entire economy, and they're getting nothing out of it other than the fact that they have so many dollars and nothing to do with them. If they just decide to buy 2% or 4% less bonds, and instead buy German bonds or EU bonds or something like that instead of buying American bonds, causes the price of our bonds to fall, the interest rates to go up, and then the cost for the United States to fund its debt just goes through the roof, and we end up with the problem that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, so that must be quite frustrating then if you're like watching all of that and a lot of economists and people are watching it and losing their shit at it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
well, it's because you just see things that you see things you've never seen before. Like
yeah,
if the stock market tanks and everybody just starts buying U.S. bonds, that's a normal thing. Stock
yeah,
market tanks, bond yields go down, demand for bonds goes up, demand for the US dollar goes up, US dollar becomes stronger, yada, yada, yada. These things have happened hundreds of times throughout history. But no, it never happens where the stock market tanks, nobody wants the bonds or the dollar either. They see the United States tanking, and they don't find anything about it safe, which is very, very strange, because for the entirety of any of our lives, um, the safest haven on planet Earth has always been the United States. It's the safest place that anyone can put their money. So everything is traded in dollars because everybody holds dollars and everybody holds U.S. debt. And the reason they hold dollars U.S. debt is because it's like triple A, 100% guaranteed. And so the United States can run our entire economy off of selling this debt to basically the rest of the world at super low interest rates. But I mean, as far as like Trump being like a Hitler or Mussolini type,
Right.
that's like like basically a 0% fear of mine.
Okay.
The reason is because the United States isn't like Italy or Germany. Um, Italy is a country where everybody's an Italian, especially in the 30s and 40s.
Right.
Germany is a country where everybody's a German,
Right.
especially in the 20s, 30s. United States is nothing like that.
Yeah.
The people like me who live in California, I have basically nothing in common with people from Florida.
Right.
Uh, we're like two different countries.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that anybody from Vermont considers somebody from Mississippi like their neighbor. You can get like a homogeneous society bought in around a bad idea and do a lot of bad things, but you just can't get a society where people are so far apart from each other and so far removed from each other's lives and live already such different ways. Like the way that people live in California is just so much different than the way people live in Mississippi. Like if I go to Louisiana, let's say, and I've been there several times just to go to New Orleans,
Right.
if I go like 5 miles outside of New Orleans, I'm in another country.
Yeah,
Nothing
definitely.
is recognizable. Nothing's recognizable. I mean, there's fucking like slave graveyards. There's like fucking people that like I'm not sure they can read and write.
Talking
It's just
Creole.
it's bizarre. It's like third world country shit.
Yeah.
Um, and they're so poor and so dumb. And these are and then they have all these backwards laws. Like this is why you could say like, oh, people in Mississippi want this, or people in butt fuck wherever in the South want this. No one in California cares what they want at all.
Right.
Like we're just like fuck off. California's going to do whatever it wants to do 100% of the time. So then you think like if you're in Italy in the 30s or Germany in the 30s, late 20s, what have you, and you control a large faction of the military, you can use that faction of the military to like sort of bring maybe rogue groups to heel. That just will not work in the United States because people who live a huge portion of the United States military is minorities from states like California and New York. These people aren't going to come to California to start shooting up their neighbors. It's never going to fucking happen. Number one, nobody's going to order nobody from Washington, D.C. is ever going to be able to order a Hispanic guy from Los Angeles to come start shooting Hispanic people in Los Angeles. It's just never, ever going to happen. The army will just instantly mutiny and it will break down along state lines
Right.
and neighborhood lines
Right.
because the way that the way the United States society is put together is like a bunch of little states almost act like little countries. We all
Right.
have our own rules,
Yeah.
for the most part. And then the other problem is different than maybe like in the 20s or 30s, nuclear weapons. California has nukes. New Mexico has more nukes than any state in the union. There's a bunch of nukes in some dumb fucking states like North Dakota.
Right.
How the hell is Trump going to order somebody from Florida to invade New Mexico when New Mexico is sitting on 13 nuclear warheads?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's just never going to happen. It's like a 0.0% chance because they'll just be like, "Oh, we just decided to nuke you. Sorry." These states have an incredible amount of power
Right.
because nobody's ever really thought about what would happen if
Right.
they all started fighting with each other in such a way. And then the last thing to remember about this, and I guess for international audience, if there's anybody, is the United States isn't like, think of it this way. In the 1860s, there was a civil war in the United States, obviously, and the South wanted to keep their slaves. The North said, no, this is some bullshit. There was a lot of it caused a lot of problems with the country above and beyond keeping people as basically, slaves, keeping people as property, caused a bunch of other financial problems, blah, 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 blah. So the northern states told the southern states they had to stop. The southern states decided to secede from the Union. The southern representatives of the southern states voted in unanimity, 100% lockstep, to secede from the Union. That is not the way that the United States is set up now. In the biggest, what you would call like Republican states, like Texas, if you looked at Texas's House of Representatives and the representatives that Texas sends to Congress, a solid 40% of them are Democrats. They're never going to sign on for this. If you run for governor of the state of Texas, you don't win 100-0 as a Trump candidate. You might win 54-45. So 45% of the people fucking hate you.
Right. Yeah.
Who is going to form this army where the states are already split down the middle,
right,
intrastate?
Yeah.
There's just no way to get enough people on board and moving in the right direction for Trump to like really be like a Mussolini or Hitler type. But he can cause a lot of trouble, and that's basically what he's doing. He's just causing as much trouble as he possibly can.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt him, and it doesn't hurt his family, especially with all this financial trouble, because we already see the options market move before the announcements are made. So
the politicians are like doing better than Warren Buffett at the minute.
Oh yeah, they're insider trading like motherfuckers.
Crazy.
I mean, if you could see the trades, Jared Kushner got $2 billion from the Saudis after the first Trump administration. Just complete grift, 100% corruption. The Saudis gave him $2 billion for the Trump administration to say, you guys can kill any journalist you want, and we don't give a fuck. Basically, that was the trade. So the Saudis put $2 billion with Jared Kushner as the fund manager. What the fuck does Jared Kushner know shit about managing anything? His dad's a fucking criminal. He's a lifetime failure who's just failed upwards. Now, though, if you could go see, there would be no better place on earth to have your money than that $2 billion Saudi fund. Because Jared Kushner is front running the market on insider trading every single day. When you see the options markets move the way they do, with literally trillions of dollars being moved and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars is the amount you need to like make that fucking arrow move like this before the announcements are made.
Right.
It means that some people are making it's not like some goofball congressman is like telling his brother-in-law to put $1,000 on short the market or go long or whatever. This is people trading billions. This is like Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner right now is crushing the market. When this is all said and done, and all of the smoke clears, we'll find out who the like real robbers were, and the amount of money they're robbing off the American public right now is unreal. It's just going to be unreal.
Yeah. So what do you do to like take your mind off all of this corruption and bullshit? Is gardening the best way to heal? What's the best way to cleanse the soul or the spirit?
Yeah. I mean, I stay up with the news and stuff because I try to make smart stock trades here and there, try to beat the market.
Right.
But I'm not obsessed with it. Like, I got my stupid, goofy hobbies, like playing a little poker, golfing, and.
Do you still play PLO then at the casino or?
No, I mean, I wish that I was playing PLO, but the PLO game at the casino that I'm at died.
Right.
The casino didn't really want to. The players had a bunch of requests or demands, and the casino didn't want to meet them, and so the players went to another casino.
So you're playing Hold'em then, or what do you?
So I didn't want to go to another casino because I'm basically lazy and retire.
Yeah.
So I just stay at the casino I'm at. I also have a deal with that casino.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to like make a deal with another casino. I just don't have the energy for that shit anymore. So I just stay and play Hold'em. I play Hold'em, no limit Hold'em, or limit hold'em, or if a mixed game or something cool pops up, I'll play that.
So do you, like these days, I should probably ask instead of assuming it, but do you find like your ROI is like a lot like dips, like it's not the same as it was if you were playing Rotom like a long time ago, obviously, or do you still find that you can get the edges even as like a hobbyist in 2025? Or
No, no, the games are horrible. The games are
yeah,
shit. There's there's no money in it if like you were trying to make a living at it as like a job.
yeah,
It's the deadest of all dead ends. There's no
yeah,
bigger dead end. Um, but if you're just going in there sort of more like a social club,
yeah,
I can still squeak out $30 an hour or whatever. Not
right,
that hard. Uh, but the days of making $200 an hour, $180 an
right.
hour is fucking so long gone. It's not even on the planet anymore.
Yeah, so back in the day when that was possible, I remember you were talking about how, like tournaments weren't that worthwhile because, the best players would maybe rake or maybe like return on investment like 30% of the time on
Yeah.
tournaments. But what would your return on investment be in cash games? Like sort of would it be a similar number or but just, you're not traveling and you're not spending money on the tournament buy-ins and stuff or like would it have been a similar like ROI for cash games or way bigger?
Well, it would be much, much bigger
Yeah.
um, in the past,
Yeah.
or even today, it would be much, much bigger depending on your game selection and things like this. I mean, you can still find games where you can make $100 an hour, but you have to like work really hard at it, much harder than I'm willing to work.
Right.
You might have to like go to Texas when all the casinos and the card rooms open in Texas, and then when a bunch of card rooms open in New York, you might have to go to New York, and then blah blah blah. You're going to have to learn multiple games, and um, you could still do it. It's not. It's you could make that much money doing something if you had that level of intellect and work ethic. You could make that much or more money with a lot less trouble. Uh, it's a lot of trouble to make money in poker now because I mean basically like think of it this way. When I first went into a casino in the late 90s as a young guy, I was a fish. Okay.
Right.
And everyone knew I was a fish, and there was absolutely no way for me to not be a fish. Okay.
Okay.
And subsequently, whenever I saw a young guy come in the casino, they were 100% fish.
Right.
There was no possible way for a young guy to come in the casino and not be a fish because there was no way for them to learn other than to play.
Yeah.
Okay? So there was no training videos,
Yeah.
there was no online poker, there was no micro stakes, there was no streams, there was no watching streams, there's no interacting with your favorite pros online, there was no anything. You could get a book that was probably written by T.J. Cloutier that gave you fucking horrible information. You might get lucky and buy a book by David Skolansky that gave you pretty good information, but only for certain games. But even then, you didn't have any poker knowledge, in so much as like um, being sharp at cards or understanding how the game worked or the game flow uh, or recognizing patterns. You could only get that information through hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours of in-table play.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't just go and say like, oh, I'm going to go play 5 cent, 10 cent on Poker Stars and play a million hands. Those guys that come in, you say, well, they've never played live poker before. It doesn't matter. They're
Right.
not fish. So when I started, every single young person that came in casino was a fish, with 100% certainty. There was zero young people that came in casino who weren't fish. Now it's almost the exact opposite. There's basically zero young people that come in the casino that are fish. Now, Are they like crushers? No, but they just through the amount of information available to a young person now, they come in with sort of a solid set of skills. Like even if all they've been doing is watching streams, like all they do is fucking watch streams and they watch the guys, the people who've won on streams over time, like let's say like a Garrett Adelstein or something, or a Dan Zach, or the guys that are like really gonna even like somebody like the more modern Durr, like or like Doug Polk or whatever, just by watching, talking about this with their friends, fucking around on Reddit or 2+2, fucking around on Twitter, playing 5 cent, 10 cent on stars. These guys all come in with like a basic understanding and a basic card sense
Yeah.
that did not exist 20 years ago, didn't
And
exist 15 years ago, basically started existing a decade ago. It basically started existing very strongly. For the last decade, we have not seen young people come to the casino as fish.
right.
So like, let's just say this guy has no fucking clue what he's doing, but he knows that Dan Zach or Garrett Adelstein balance their 4 betting range with ace suited wheel cards. So then they balance their 4 betting range with ace suited wheel cards, even though they have no fucking clue why or what they're doing. That just makes them immediately 10 times harder to play against. Let's say, even if they're just like a monkey clicking buttons, it makes them 10 times harder to play against. Let's say they come in and they immediately aren't playing 50% of their hands or 40% or 30%. They're coming in playing like the loosest ones, maybe 20% of their hands. A lot of them are coming in straight out the gate playing like 15% of their hands. It's super, super tight pre-flop because through playing so many hands at PokerStars and watching videos of people play micro stakes at PokerStars, they know that like, oh shit, you play 6 to 8 tables. You're just folding all of that crap up front because you're playing a bunch of tables. You've got it used to just folding all this crap up front, playing only basically value hands up front, blah blah blah, only coming in for a raise, 3 betting in position, yada yada yada. They come into the casino, and even if they're just doing monkey see monkey do, like they don't even understand like the philosophy behind why they're doing the things they're doing, they're just still like 1,000x harder to play against than a young person who came into the casino in 1999
Right.
and had never played a single hand of poker in a casino in their entire life, had maybe played in a home game where there was wild cards, and they're sitting there asking like, are there any wild cards in this game? Like the difference in the skill quality of young players is such that it just has basically made there's not a pipeline of dead money coming into the game, whereas it used to be a bunch of young people were a pipeline of dead money coming in the game. So now what ends up happening is every time if you ask anybody what's the average age of a fish, if you ask anybody what's the average age of a fish in 1998, 1999, 2000, 2003, 4, all the way up to about 2010, 11, if you ask anybody what's the average age of a fish, it would have been like in their 20s. Now, if you ask anybody what's the average age of a fish, they'll probably like in their 50s or maybe even their 60s, because every single time a fish dies, no young person takes their place. The fish, the guy playing loose passively, half of their hands, they're playing in a very like, they think it's like a table game. There's really no difference between playing blackjack and playing poker for them. They have lots of superstitions. They're doing seat changes based on nothing. Those guys are all average age 60, 70, 50, late 50s. When one of those guys dies, the young person that takes their place is never like that, is never loose passive, is always at worst semi-tight aggressive, is never doing superstitious things, is always making all of their plays based on some reason why it was either logical for them or it's logical based on things that they've seen other pros do. So, well, I see Doug Polk do this, or I see Garrett Adelstein do this. Just by doing monkey see, monkey do just makes them so much harder to play with because the 80-year-old guy or 70-year-old guy, 60-year-old fish never thinks of doing that stuff. They've
Yeah.
never thought of doing this shit in their entire lives. They like to limp, they like to see flops, they like to call down, they have incredibly inelastic calling ranges. If they're going to put in a penny, they're going to put in a pound. So then you combine the fact that there's no young people coming to the casino as fish anymore with the fact that the rake only goes up. Rake never goes down, it only goes up. And what you get is an untenable situation where poker is just drying up.
Right.
Um, Poker, everybody playing poker today makes less money than they or somebody else of their skill level made 10 years ago. Everybody
Right.
playing 10 years ago makes less than everybody who's playing 10 years before that. Everybody who's playing 10 years before that makes less money than everybody who's playing 10 years before that.
Right.
It's just a race to the bottom. Poker's just become a complete race to the bottom. And you end up with situations like in Los Angeles where it's one of the last like little honeypots of money, Los Angeles and Texas, Florida to a certain extent. And you have players come from all over the world, like to crush our games and just like basically rape the last remaining locals. Anytime I sit in a game in Los Angeles, at least 3 Euro grinders at every table, at least three. And these Euro grinders, they're not fucking coming to fuck around. They're
Yeah.
coming to crush as long as they're work visa or vacation visa or whatever fuck stick visa they got. However long it lasts, they come as a little team. They fucking get an Airbnb. They crush the games as hard as they possibly can, and then they leave. That just sucks so much money out of the poker economy for the people who live in, like, let's say Los Angeles, because we get all of the good poker players from Slovenia or Slovakia or fucking buttfuck nowhere, but we don't get any of their fish. No fish ever fucking flies from Slovakia to the fucking Commerce Casino to dump off $50,000 playing loose passive poker. But 20 little fucking dork ass fucking pimple faced kids come every single month to just siphon off the game like fucking locusts. They just fucking fly like locusts. They eat up all the crops and then they fly away.
Yeah.
So I mean, how it's an untenable. Everything about it's untenable.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of which, I'm an untenable podcast producer of videos, and maybe this might cut out in a couple of minutes just because I set this up incorrectly. So if it
Well,
does,
you got a pretty good podcast already. What'd you get? You
yeah,
got 37 minutes of good stuff.
yes. So if it does, will we call it a day, or do you want another link, or will we just call it a day? Or
Let's call it a day. If it
yes,
cuts out, you post it. We'll
yes.
see how it looks and how it sounds, and then maybe we'll do it again in the future.
Okay, okay, that sounds creative. Well, thank you very much for stepping in, and yeah, like I wish you all the best with your hobbies, so your poker, your gardening, everything. It's been great having you on, and yeah, hopefully America and the markets looks good in the future again as well.
All right, buddy. You take
All
it
right,
easy.
and you,
Have a
thank
good
you.
night.
Bye.
Bye.